Just a battle of MVP candidates. The Baltimore Ravens at the Cleveland Browns. Jameis Winston is back for the Browns.
Yeah.
He is back. A mighty roar from the crowd. This might be the most raucous Browns crowd.
Well, now we get to enjoy Nick Chubb being back without a cloud hanging over it.
With no cloud.
It's just Jameis out there bringing the vibes. Nick Chubb back from his knee injury.
Ravens 9.5-point favorites, by the way, on the road against the Browns.
Yeah, so I'm curious. I do think we're going to get some kind of Jameis bump.
Jameis curious?
But what is – it's tough because they're going – I think there will be a very real improvement in this offense on the basis that Deshaun Watson was playing some of the worst football of any player ever, statistically, right? The Austin Gale's train of stats.
The production of the offense. It's not like I do hate assigning EPA to the player. It is more of a team-driven stat. But yes.
Evidently, Watson has been playing pretty terribly this season.
Correct.
So like Bryce Young in Carolina, there should be a bump in the offense. We should see an improvement and see them playing better with Jameis at quarterback. He's also a lot more just aggressive / insane with the passes that he's going to attempt, right? And that should help as well, kind of like Joe Flacco last year. The question is, how big a bump will it be? And the problem is they're trying to do that against Baltimore, who right now might be the best team in the NFL or one of the 2 or 3. So it's like, I don't even know if you're going to get a fair idea of how big the bump is going to be because you're going up against a really good team. So I'm fascinated by this game, but I'm a little sad for Jameis that it comes against a team as good as Baltimore, particularly if they're still on the fence about, do we give it to Jameis or do we let DTR have a run with this? If Jameis loses the job off the back of a beatdown by Baltimore, who are, as you say, 9.5-point favorites, and we then throw DTR out there, I just feel like that's silly.
Just to remind people who Jameis is, we always talk about him as the king of volatility. It wasn't even a high percentage of big-time throws from Jameis. It was a high percentage of positive throws, right? Yes. Just passes beyond the sticks, 10 to 20-yard throws. He's a very good intermediate-level thrower, but he's also, because he's so aggressive, he's going to put the ball in harm's way a little bit more often and miss a few more throws. He was using the PFF grading a few years ago. I had a stat where he would finish in the top 5 in positively graded throws and negatively graded throws, like the only guy who would do that year over year. When he got to the Saints, though, we were fascinated by how Sean Payton going to reel him in, and Sean Payton did reel him in a little bit, right? But you still kind of had those moments, right, where he would put the ball in harm's way. So now Jameis again, what do we see from him? I think at the very least you're going to raise the ceiling of the offense, and you really can't lower the floor. I mean, that's where we are right now with the Browns. You literally cannot lower the floor of the Browns offense. And I'm not saying it'll look exactly like it did with Joe Flacco last year, but it has that type of potential. What did Joe Flacco bring to the offense? A higher ceiling. That I couldn't believe I said that. Joe Flacco raised the ceiling of the Browns offense relative to Deshaun Watson. Mm-hmm. And in the last time we had seen Flacco, he had with the Broncos. Remember, he was a starter for the Broncos, and filling in for the Jets. But he was just conservative dink and dunk guy But Flacco got back to just chucking it down the field, and Jameis will at least bring that to the table. So the Browns become one of the tougher teams to break down here. There's another interesting stat here that shows how volatile the Browns are going to be on both sides of the ball here. They have the third best success rate allowed using EPA per play. So they've allowed the third lowest percentage of positive EPA per plays. Okay, so they've been down to down, difficult to move the ball on, let's say. But the overall EPA per play for the Browns ranks 17th. So in other words, when the Browns give it up, they're big plays. But down to down, they're actually more effective than most defenses. That is as volatile as it gets on both sides of the ball. So good luck predicting this. And that's what happens when you play a lot of man coverage, the way the Browns do. That means it's you break up a lot of passes, forcing completions, but you also could give up the 60, 70-yarders. So that's where we are with the Browns. 9.5 feels like a lot for a team that could go either way here.
Yeah, I also think we're going to get – I think the defense is better than it's shown this year. Now, number one, we saw that it is better last year.
Well, that's what – if you just use the success rate, you could say it is. If you just use EPA per play, you'd be like, oh, they're giving up a lot of big plays.
But number two, I think you're going to see the impact of the offense on the defense. those two things do affect each other, even though they don't play obviously at the same time.
Sure.
Like the fact that the Browns offense has been so terrible means the defense is in a no-win situation and they're on the field the whole time. Like I suspect a Jameis bump for the offense will have a corresponding bump for the defense, who's just not always hung out to dry the way they have been so far this year. So I think, like Dalton with Carolina, though maybe it'll last longer, I think we should see a bump across the board for the Browns.
And then Baltimore, Lamar Jackson, everybody's calling him MVP again, playing at that type of level. Has been very consistent these last few weeks. Threw the ball great. What a great deep ball he threw to Rashad Bateman the other day. You don't see, like him and Mahomes, you don't see a whole lot of just in-rhythm deep balls from either guy. Honestly, I remember like a handful from Mahomes. I don't remember a whole lot from Lamar. It's just not his style, right? Hit the top of your drop, one hitch, let it go, hit a dude in stride. But that was beautiful to Bateman. And so the Ravens, we had questions earlier in the year, but now they're finding their stride and how to use Lamar. And they didn't even use Henry the other day until late in the third quarter, and he still goes 15 carries for over 10 yards a pop. So good luck trying to stop this Ravens offense right now.
Yeah, and I'm really curious, was it just one play like late in the game where they kept Derrick Henry in the pass game, threw him a pass, and he scored a touchdown? Or is that an indication that this thing is still evolving and we can work Derrick Henry into the pass game more instead of just having him as the designated ball carrier running back, and then we pivot to Justice Hill when we're in passing situations? Can we actually use Derrick Henry more in the pass game and further integrate this nightmare of Lamar Jackson plus Derrick Henry within for defenses to contend with? Like if defenses have to also be concerned about Derrick Henry coming out of the backfield, getting the ball in space, in the flat or over the middle, that just makes them even tougher.
I think you're right about the Browns defense too, by the way. Like they can be better.
Yeah.
They can be better. They have a lot of potential. I hate that they've been so bad this year because I love Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. I love JOK. He's playing some great football. I always love when he plays the Ravens because I think he could play that spy role and track down Lamar Jackson because of his speed and aggressiveness. Za'Darius Smith can get after the QB. We know what Myles Garrett can do. I think the Browns might get a little just overall team bump here.
It is basically the same personnel that was one of the top 2 or 3 defenses in football last year.
They had the same level of volatility, though. Remember, they got wrecked in the playoffs by the Texans.
Right.
But they had that ability in a given game with Denzel Ward and Martin Emerson and Greg Newsome. They could play lockdown on the outside, Grant Delpit covering tight ends. They could play lockdown and rush the passer really well, or they could, give up a lot of big plays. So, all that said, where are you going? 9.5 here.
I think that the Browns with a Jameis bump can cover 9.5.
Jameis bump. The Jameis bump. I'm doing it. I'm taking the Browns. 9.5 point underdogs at home.
Yeah.
Tyler, what's a moral victory here? Lose by 4? Is that a moral victory?
With it.
Super Bowl.
Ah.
Super Bowl. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's play this game really quick. I said Jameis Winston is going to have
an MVP season.
He's going to have a night. Look it up. Look it up, youngins.
Time?
Look it up. 1998 Vinny Testaverde. Vinny Testaverde, Mr. 20, 25 picks a year. Get Parcells and the Jets.
Is there even enough time for him to win MVP now?
No, he won't. Not this year. Probably next year.
Okay.
He'll set himself up for an MVP
funny?
season next year.
Because they've changed the guidelines, if Jameis Winston goes on a run now, he can't win comeback player of the year.
I don't care.
He can't get the Joe Flacco award.
It's just a stupid award.
It would be the award that Joe Flacco got last year.
A guy came back from death to play football, and you gave it to Joe Flacco last year. Just throw the award out. I don't care what the rules are. Just throw. Nobody cares about comeback player of the year.
They fixed it for you.
It's a stupid award.
But they fixed it for you. They have taken your feedback.
No, you should all lose your votes for allowing Joe Flacco to win comeback player of the year over DeMar Hamlin.
I didn't vote for him.
There's no more, what have you done for me lately, than, I know you died 18 months ago, but that was too long ago. We forgot.
But they fixed
Not even.
it.
It was less than a year. Less than a year.
Yeah.
And then Joe Flacco, just because he comes off the couch and throws a few touchdowns. Oh, yeah, give it to Joe.
Right. And it turns out the single biggest factor there may have been just how bad Deshaun Watson was, not, that Flacco was good.
Yeah.
But the point is they fixed it. They took a look at that and they went, you know what? You're
That's
right.
great.
That's terrible. We're going to limit it to injuries only. So now the guideline is it's got to be coming back from an injury of some description. Jameis not coming back from an injury.
Hamlin should be eligible again.
Maybe you can win it this year.
Whatever. Harry's taking Baltimore.
Thanks for watching all the way to the end of our video.
For more great content, click here to subscribe and here to watch another video. We'll see you again soon.